Hi everyone, it's Rax, finally getting back into bringing you guys more guides. It feels good to be back. Let's start out with the Death Nova Necromancer. I will also cover the Patterns of Justice Tempest Rush Monk, which I've been playing, which has been a lot of fun. And also I'm going to be making a guide on how to move silky smooth in Diablo. I've been doing community days every Saturday, which I hope you will come and join at twitch.tv/Raxxanterax. Come join and come play with us. But I've been noticing that some things that are holding some players back is movement, so I'd like to cover that in a video. So this Death Nova Necro is incredible as a trash clearer in metas. It can clear 150. It currently has the world's fastest 150, clearing it in under 4 minutes, which is absolutely unbelievable. It is also probably the highest solo clearing Necromancer build, and we'll cover that as well. One thing I'm going to warn you about, so don't say that I did not warn you. The Death Nova solo build is incredible for clearing the trash, but you're going to need a gigantic lead for the boss, because the boss is a huge problem for this build. Because of that, I'm going to be honest with you, I would not recommend this build for solo. I would just probably go with the Super Rat or the Lancer. But if you want to try to get the highest clear possible, I'll show you how to do that. Let's get started. So, this is a Legacy of Dreams build. That means we're going to take no set items, and this Legacy of Dreams gem, as long as we don't have any set bonuses, we're going to get 750% increased damage and 4% reduced damage for every ancient item that we have, so we want all of our items to be ancient. The itemization on this build is what you would think for a normal build, with one exception. We don't need any cooldown for the group build. Cooldown is good for the solo build. It's not needed for the group build. So we're going to stack area damage, crit, attack speed, in order to deal that massive damage with our Nova, but we don't need any cooldown. Starting off with the weapon, we have Scythe of the Cycle. We'd like the trifecta here: damage, attack speed, and area damage. It's going to make our secondary skills deal 400% increased damage as long as Bone Armor is active. Bone Armor is going to be active all the time, no problem. One thing to note is, because it's Season 20, in the cube, we can cube 3 weapons. So Tragouls is another option that you can wear instead of Scythe of the Cycle. So if you have a Primal Tragouls, by all means, wear the Tragouls and cube the Scythe of the Cycle. You can interchange them as much as you'd like. Moving on to the offhand, we have the Lost Time. It doesn't have to be a Lost Time. It can be whatever phylactery you want it to be. We're just looking for the stats. We would love Death Nova damage, needs to be on there. We really need area damage. And then the crit and the essence are also a very nice addition. So try to get crit, area damage, Death Nova, and essence on the offhand. Doesn't matter which one it is. For the boots, we have Illusory Boots, which is going to let us move through the enemies. It's going to let us go stand in the Oculus rings when they spawn. You're going to notice a theme for all of the armor pieces. Any piece that we can get armor on, pretty much, we want armor, because it's going to help us keep our Squirts necklace buff up. Int, all resist, armor, and Death Nova damage is what we're looking for on the boots. For the pants, we want Swampland Waders. These are Witch Doctor pants, and they're the only pants in the game that can roll poison elemental damage. How do you get them? You can gamble for yellow pants on your Necro, or you can craft yellow pants, and then log off of your Necro and create a level 1 Witch Doctor. Name it Pants, please. Don't level it up. You do not need to level it. Grab the level 70 yellow pants, take it to the cube, and using recipe 3, upgrade rare. After a while, you will get the Swampland Waders, and we're looking for the poison elemental damage on it, and if we can, we'd love to get the armor as well. Crisbin Sentence. This ring is in every Necromancer DPSing build of all time, and probably always will be. Attack speed, crit damage, and area damage are the best rolls that we can get for how a Crisbin's does roll. And we're going to deal 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, or triple the bonus if they're affected by some other type of crowd control. So we are going to get the triple bonus because they are going to be stunned, either by our own bone armor or by the Z-Barb's stun. And then, of course, the Legacy of Dreams gem that we talked about. This is the gem that makes the entire build work. Convention of the Elements. I'm sure you guys have seen this ring before. It's especially good for Necromancers, because Necromancers only cycle through 3 of the elements: poison, cold, and physical. Crit area damage is what we want, and we'll take Bane of the Trapped for 60% increased damage. Dainty's Binding, we're going to get 50% damage reduction while an enemy is afflicted by one of our curses. We're going to be cursing everything with our Grim Scythe Cursed Scythe. We'll take Int, Vit, Life, and All Resist here. For the Stone Gauntlets, good luck getting these, but ideally we'd like the quad Stone Gauntlets: attack speed, crit area damage. Now, these Stone Gauntlets are going to give us massive survivability, and the Barbarian's Ignore Pain that's going to be playing with us is going to negate the slow effect. If you can't get exactly these stats, then you could skip the attack speed, because Stone Gauntlets only drop on the strength classes, so they're a little bit tough to get. For the shoulder slot, you can really use anything. Pauldrons of the Skeleton King are nice because they give you a cheat death. Int, Vit, area damage, and armor is what we're going for. Andariel's for the helmet. This is the only helmet that can roll poison elemental damage. We don't need a Leorix because we don't need cooldown, and we don't even need a socket. Again, because we don't need any cooldown for the groups. So poison, attack speed, crit, and death nova would be the perfect rolls for this Andariel's. Aquila, as long as we're above 90% resource, we're going to take 50% less damage. So when we're not spamming Death Nova, we should take 50% less damage. And while we're spamming Death Nova, they should be stunned. So hopefully we're going to be able to keep our Squirts buff up. Int, Vit, and armor is what we're looking for here. Squirts Necklace, we deal double damage as long as we don't take damage. So we need tons of survivability and damage mitigation. That's where the armor comes from. We're going to get the Shouts and the Ignore Pain from the Barb, and we're going to get shields from the Z-Monk. Hopefully we'll be able to keep this up. And we're going to go with the Pain Enhancer gem, because that's going to give us Blood Frenzy. We're going to get 3% increased attack speed for every bleeding enemy around us, and the Barbarian is going to pull the whole world on top of us, and then we're just going to attack. Poison, crit would be the perfect rolls here. And finally, for the bracers, we'll take Ancient Parthon Defenders, also known in the community as APDs. Every enemy around us that's stunned is going to give us 12% damage reduction. We're going to stun while we're doing our Death Nova Blast, hopefully keeping our Squirts buff up. Poison, int, crit, and armor is what we're looking for here. And now onto the skills. So we have Nayer's Black Death in the cube. Every poison skill we use is going to increase our damage by 100% for 15 seconds. So we're going to take 5 poison skills to ramp up that multiplier to 500. Bone Spikes, Bone Pillars, we're just taking the skill to apply a poison stack. Exact same thing with Bone Spear, Blighted Marrow, just trying to apply a poison stack. Frailty Early Grave is very strong. All the enemies are going to die when they reach 18% health. We're going to apply this curse mostly with Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, but you can cast this every once in a while just to apply it to the whole group, just to make sure everything is dead. Bone Armor Dislocation, this is necessary to keep our Scythe of the Cycle buff up, and Dislocation is not only going to apply the poison stack, but if you do it right before poison, it's going to apply the 2-second stun to proc your Chrisman Sentence. Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, it's another poison skill, but this is going to be applying all of the curses all over the monsters. That not only helps with our damage, but believe it or not, it will actually help with your survivability, especially with your Dainty's Binding. So a lot of the time, we're just going to be swinging our scythe till the cows come home. And then, of course, Death Nova, Blight, this is what's going to be dealing all of our damage. Passives. Standalone, we get 100% increased armor. It's reduced by 10% for every active minion. We don't have any minions. Big armor buff. Spreading Malediction, we get 1% bonus for every enemy afflicted by one of your curses. amazing damage increase because we're going to be cursing everything with Grim Scythe, and you can also curse with Frailty. Eternal Torment, this is going to make our curses last forever so we don't have to reapply them every single time we move. And Rigor Mortis is going to reduce the enemy's attack speed by 30%, giving you a better chance to stay alive and keep your Squirts buff up. Finally, in the cube, Blood-Tide Blade, this is what makes this entire build work. We deal 400% increased damage for every enemy within 25 yards. The Barb is going to bring the whole world to us, and then we're going to deal massive damage. Trag'Oul's, 200% increased damage if an enemy is cursed. Perfect. And as we talked about earlier, Nair's Black Death, 5 poison skills for 500% increased damage. And now let's quickly go over what you would change for solo. Well, first of all, we aren't going to be able to keep our Squirts buff up ever, so we'll switch it for Flavor of Time for the doubled pylons, and we'll take Physical Crit cooldown here. And we'll take Bane of the Stricken because we have to kill the Guardian ourselves. So we're going to be sitting there stacking, and then hopefully nemming a pylon, hopefully a horde, and then getting them down with our Blood-Tide Blade and our area damage. So we'll take Stricken and Flavor of Time instead of Pain Enhancer and Squirts. We will take a Leoric's Crown here because cooldown is helpful now to bring back the cooldown of our Bone Golem, because that's going to let you move all of the monsters forward. And instead of the Swampland Waders, we will take Golem Skin Breaches, because that's going to give us 30% reduced damage while our Golem is alive. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging to stay alive. And we will get rid of our Convention of the Elements for Unity. This is going to give us an additional 50% damage reduction. And we will also get rid of our Illusory Boots for Ice Climbers. Losing the Illusory Boots is going to hurt. It's going to really nerf our movement, especially when we have everything clumped together. But the Ice Climbers are required to negate the negative effects of the Stone Gauntlets because we don't have the Barbarian anymore giving us Ignore Pain. For the skills, these 3 skills, the Death Nova, the Grim Scythe, and the Bone Armor are exactly the same. We will take Blood Rush Potency. Not only will that give us massive armor, but it will let us move around. It's essentially needed because we don't have Illusory Boots. The Golem Bone Golem will not only activate our Golem Skin Pants, but it will let us group everything together. And Leech Cursed Ground is what's going to give us a ton of survivability. We're going to put that down when we have a big clump of monsters, and it's going to let us stay alive. And then finally, we're going to take the Draw Life passive, again, to give us more survivability, instead of Rigor Mortis that we took in the group setup. And now let's look at the Paragon points. For the core, the most important thing is obviously the movement speed, as is every other build. We will take the maximum essence because that's going to help us spam more Death Novas during our poison cycle. Then put all the rest into intelligence. You only want to put in enough vitality to make sure that you can stay alive. Everything else should be in intelligence. For offense, go for crit hit chance and crit hit damage first, and then attack speed and cooldown last. For defense, start with armor, then life, then all resistance, and then life per second. Life per second is a lot stronger for the solo build because of draw life. So if you want to get more life per second rolls on your solo gear, including cooldown, then you can do that. And for utility, area damage is the best, and then resource cost, so you can spam more Death Novas, and then life per hit, and then goal find is, of course, completely worthless. So let me jump into town real quick with my character and explain some things to you, and then I'll show you some gameplay. Alright everyone, so let me show you how this build works. It's pretty simple. So Convention of the Elements only rotates through 3 elements for Necro, making COE amazing. And it always goes cold, physical, poison. Poison, okay? And poison is where we're going to deal all of our damage. Now we have Nairs in the cube. It's going to give us 100% increased damage for a few seconds after we use a poison skill. I throw a poison skill. We have this poison buff for a while. We want to have multiple stacks of this, all 5 stacks, right before poison hits. And then right before poison hits, is when we're going to unleash the beast, okay? So, what are we going to do here? In physical, well, first of all, we're always going to be swinging our scythe. Swing, 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 cursing everything. Applying our curse from our Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, okay? So, we do all of our damage and poison, okay? Now we're curse, 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 curse. The last poison thing we're going to apply is obviously our Death Nova. And the curse, the scythe poison stack is already being applied all the time because we're always swinging. So that means in physical, we have to apply the Bone Spike poison thing, and the Bone Spear, and the Dislocation. Okay? And I would do the Dislocation last because it's a stun, and we want them to be stunned during poison because our Death Nova is going to deal all of the damage. Alright? So here we go. We're DPSing, we're DPSing, we're DPSing. Okay. Swing, swing, swing. I've got 2 stacks so far. We're in physical. Throw a spear, throw a spike, stun, and DPS, DPS, DPS. Swing, 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 swing. Bone spikes, we would have essence to spear, do that, and then Nova. Okay? The idea is to have all 5 stacks ready when you're about to blow them up with Death Nova. That's the rotation. Now, you only have to do this once or twice in a given spot because with Bloodtide Blade, when you deal damage, you're going to kill almost all of the little trash. When you have killed all the little trash, you're not going to do any damage anymore. So now you got to move forward and bring the elites and set it up again. The thing is, what I see a lot of necromancers do is they panic. I got to get my 5 stacks up, and they start spamming all their poison skills and hope that they have 5 up by the time that they DPS. Don't do that. Be calm. Okay, so one final time. So we're DPSing in poison. I don't have any essence, but swing, swing, swing. So we have 1 stack. Here comes poison. Bone spikes, throw the spear, dislocate. That's it. And try to move into the Oculus Ring as well. That's the rotation. Let me take you into some footage so I can show you exactly how it works. Alright everyone, let me talk over a little bit of what I did last season in solo. I haven't had a chance to do it this season, but it's the exact same, pretty much the exact same build. You just got to kill the Guardian yourself. So let me just show you. What you do is essentially run around and start cursing stuff so you can have your Dainty's Binding buff up. And then you can see I'm really using my golem to move things forward. Okay, I'm dashing around. This build is incredible, incredible, incredible for clearing all the trash. You'll be able to, if you get a really good map and a conduit, you'll be able to clear the rift in no time. We were able to do 150 last season. But the thing that enabled this build last season is the angels killed the Guardian for me. Alright, now we don't have that luxury anymore, so we got to kill the Guardian ourselves. So we're going to take Bane of the Stricken. We're hopefully going to get a pylon right next to the boss. We're going to sit there for minutes and minutes and minutes, stacking Stricken, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, nem the pylon, and then try to take him down with the Death Nova with the Bloodtide Blade and the area damage. But the essential idea is gather everything with your golem, and then just let it rain. And look, everything just starts dying. Now, of course, last season we have all of these affixes, the raining corpses and all this stuff. You won't have that, but the trade-off is you will deal actually a lot more damage this time around because you're cubing 3 weapons. So you lose all the crazy corpses raining down and the treasure chests and all that stuff in order to do way, way, way more damage. So that's the trade-off there. So I'm actually purposely trying to die so I can reset my stacks. This is not a function in solo this season anymore. You're just going to keep on going. You're just going to kill stuff as fast as possible. So that's actually another advantage for you. You don't have to manage your stacks anymore. So the basic idea is gather everything with your golem. Curse, 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 curse. Right before your poison, activate your bone armor and blow it all up. Keep doing that over and over and over. Get a big festering. At the end of a festering, get a conduit pylon, conduit it all down, have a gigantic lead. Finish it up in the next map if you need to. Spawn the boss, sit there, stricken, 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 stricken. And then finally, nem the pylon. Hopefully you get Horde, which has a ton of minions. Gather it all together with your bone golem, and then nuke the Guardian down. Okay, let me show you some gameplay from the 150 that we did last season. I'll actually show it to you from the Barb perspective, and I'll show you how I group everything up on top of the Necro. The Necro applies its 5 Nair stacks and then just blows it up in 2 seconds. All right, let me show you how it works in the group setting. So I'm playing the Barb here, but our Necromancer, Mr. Dweeb, is sitting right there on the Sanctuary with the Monk, just trying to stay alive and getting his 5 Nair stacks up. I'm going to bring everything on top of him, and I'm going to stun right in the beginning of Poison to proc his Crispin Sentence, and he just spams Death Nova. Boom. Do you see how everything dies there? That's really all it is. You move forward, get your 5 Nair stacks, you wait for the Barbarian to bring it all together, and then you spam Death Nova. That's really all it is. When you get to the Guardian, you're no help at all. I mean, maybe unless it's Hamlin or Saxtrus, but even in those cases, you're really no help at all. I stomp it together, he blows it up. And you're going to have to communicate. He's going to have to let you know, or he or she is going to have to let you know right before the poison cycle. Stomp it together, blow it up. That's all there is to it. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. The Necromancer is so powerful this season. We'll have to see what kind of new sets are coming out next season for the Necromancer and the Demon Hunter. I hope that the Necro is going to get something a little bit better for solo, and I hope the Demon Hunters are going to get something that's going to make them viable in the metas. But I'm very happy to be making more guides for you. We're going to be making them for years and years and years to come. If you have any lingering questions about the Death Nova Necro, just post them down below. I read every single comment, every single question. I'll try to reply to all of them. I hope you all are doing very well amongst this coronavirus pandemic that we're having. I hope you guys are staying safe and washing your hands, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much.